Hey, everybody. I want to talk about our DNA, our ancestors, and unity consciousness. Unity consciousness is the idea that we are all one, that everything on this earth is one, whether it is animate, inanimate, alive, not alive, it is all the same. And this comes from this concept that we all come from source. We are all source energy. And this is evidenced in the Big Bang, right? Something came from nothing. We all came from the same thing. We are all product of the stars. We're all made of stardust. Everything that we are has been in this earth before and was recreated to create who we are. So we are all one. And if you extend that out to the cosmos, then the earth is one with everything that's there. So how does this relate to our DNA and our ancestors? Well, within our DNA, it defines who we are. We carry the gene structures to determine, like, our hair color, the fact that my hair is curly, I have brown eyes, all of those basic traits. But it also contains a lot of other information that we don't truly understand yet, that we're only just beginning to figure out. And so we're beginning to understand that, there is more to our DNA than what is, within what we see of ourselves. Now, you've heard of the concept epigenetics, I'm sure, because this has been, a pretty hot topic and a buzzword for a little bit of time now. But what we are really understanding within science, what science is finally understanding that the spiritual world has understood for a long time, is that we are programmable in the sense that we can change some of our expression of who we are by changing how our genes are regulated. And that's what epigenetics is studying. It's looking at how these genes are being expressed and how that can be changed. Now, how do we change those things? Well, that's debatable, but the way that we have been seeing, and the way that if you practice, you probably know firsthand, is by doing different techniques such as breath work and mindfulness and plant medicines. And there's a Reiki, and there's an endless source of ways that we can go about healing ourselves. And by healing ourselves, we change that genetic expression. So our genetic expression is due to our ancestors, right? Our ancestors are the ones that had a certain expression of who they were, of course, their physicality and how they looked, but their lives led to a certain expression of their DNA. Now, what we are learning is that we can inherit these epigenetic changes. We can inherit what they experienced through our DNA. So that means that if, for example, you had an ancestor that experienced some trauma, that might lead to certain changes within how their DNA is expressed. They might be wanting to, or not wanting to, but they might be expressing certain genes that are related to a response that's going to be like maybe increased heartbeat and fear or something else. Maybe the desire to run, maybe they run faster because of these things. Whatever it is, they expressed certain aspects of their DNA that we then inherit. Now, this was studied within science with trauma survivors, people who survived from the Holocaust, and the descendants of those people of the Holocaust. And what they found is that these epigenetic markers are actually carried through. They also saw this within people who descended from slavery. So this has been shown within science. Now, I can tell you that, I'm a molecular biologist, but I can tell you that I can feel this. I can feel this within my body, and we can go through those personal stories at some point. But I can tell you that there has been a lot of trauma in my family, a lot being brought up through the generations, and I didn't even know that. I just experienced it firsthand within my lifetime, within my family. And what ended up happening is, from me doing the work, I was able to clear it. Now, how do I know I was able to clear it? Well, I saw these traits in my own daughter. She's only 7 right now, and I've been witnessing these things since she was born. And I have been watching her change overnight. And it's been a miraculous thing to witness, because even her teachers will remark, they don't understand all of this, but they will even remark, wow, she just changed overnight. And it's not like a typical change that you might see in a kid, because kids do change overnight, but definitely something that's quite unique. And as I mentioned, childhood educators are noticing this change and not being able to attribute it to anything that they know. So let's get back to what this means. So if you think about it, we're the product of our ancestors' dreams, right? They dreamed of a vision of the future, and we are living in that now, just as the future generations are going to live in what we are dreaming, not only for ourselves, not only for our family, not only for humanity, but for the earth and the cosmos at large. So what does that mean that we're carrying this within us? Well, when we heal our DNA, when we change that epigenetic expression, it doesn't only go forward, it goes backwards, right? It goes back to our ancestors because they are holding on to baggage as well. We have baggage within our lifetime, but they have baggage from their lifetime. They have things that they feel sad about, they feel guilty about, they feel shameful about, and they carry that baggage with them. And they need help releasing that as well. So when we change our epigenetic expression, when we do the hard work and really we rewire who we are, we're not just changing it for us and our future, we're also changing the past. Now, what does it mean to change the past and change who they are? Well, when we're changing that epigenetic expression of who they are, we're releasing timelines that no longer serve us, these lower vibrational frequency timelines. Now, when we talk about what these timelines are, it's about this idea that time is not linear. Now, I know this might be hard to grasp. We experience time as a linear function in this dimension, in this density, because that is the way time and space collapse when we're in the third dimension. However, time is not linear. I've been looking at it as circular, but another way to look at it is that there is only, which is, the way to look at it, which is there's the only infinite moment of now. And now keeps happening, which means your past, present, and future is based on the actions, the thoughts, and, the behaviors that you have in this very moment of now. So when you are changing the past and changing that timeline, it's because you're changing your perception and your belief and your feeling about it in this moment of now. And when you change that, you're reorienting the way the past is being directed towards the future. So while there is no linear time, to think about it in a linear way, if you think about you being that pivot point of where that past leads to the future and you might take a new direction, that's what is happening. So when you change your epigenetic expression, when you move out of fear, when you move out of survival and you move into what I like to call thrival or thriving, then what ends up happening is you are changing the direction of your future, but you've also released the past from that timeline, dissolving that timeline, now creating that as not a possibility for yourself. That's no longer that possibility. That timeline that was leading you to a different future is no longer there. So if we're changing our timelines of the past into the future, how does this affect our ancestors? Well, when we change our DNA, we're expressed. They live in our DNA. They live in, realms that are unseen, but they also live within our DNA. We share that expression. We might be a different combination of it, but we carry their molecular scars, their molecular winds. We carry that all. They live within us. And when we change that expression, we release them from that bondage. When we release them from that bondage, they are able to pivot in their timelines. So just like we exist in all planes of existence at once, like we exist in all densities, like there is no time for us, that we have our higher selves, we have different versions of ourselves out there, they do as well. They are our ancestors. That is one version of them, that they exist in that spirit realm that exists as part of us, but they also have numerous existences as well. And so when we release them from that bondage, they are able to pivot in their now movement to their highest timeline. And guess what? They're doing this work for us too. We're not the only ones doing this work. They are doing this work. And if they're doing this work and we're doing this work, then we're all doing this work. And because we are all related, then we're doing this work for all of humanity, for all of the earth, for all of the cosmos. I don't know if you've ever heard that expression, but when one heals, we all heal. This is what it means. Because when we're doing the work, we're all interconnected. We're all interconnected beings, whether it be through our DNA that goes all the way back and you can keep tracing it back and it's just been recombined in lots of different ways. Or you look at the earth and the fact that no matter what, if you incarnated here on earth and you had an earthly body, it means that you are made of the recombined elements of earth. Everything that our body is came from this earth. We are all interconnected and we're all one. So when we do this work, we're healing each other. We're healing ourselves. We're healing the future. We're healing the past. We're healing it all. And what a wonderful thing to think that we have nothing that is wrong with us, nothing that cannot be fixed. There's nothing that we could have done that cannot be forgiven. So forgive yourself. Forgive others. Love yourself. Love others, because we are all one. I hope you enjoyed that message. I know there was a lot of concepts in there. Please feel free to ask questions, connect with me. Let's talk more. Bye.